Welcome back to Sapphires Unscripted, final episode of the year. We said we're going to do a review and stuff, but it's Christmas time, it's New Year's, we need a break. As you can see, my hair is all over the place for once. I'm not wearing a hat. Feels a bit different. But anyway, sorry, boys, this one's coming out a bit late. I was down on the piss, right? So we decided we're going to film this on Monday. And then we'll just put it out to you guys on a lovely little Tuesday morning. But Brevan, brother, end of the year. How's the year been for you as well?
Yeah, it's been a good year. Obviously, very busy year, but a very successful year. And just amazing to get through another year. And no complaints. Obviously, for yourself, still working. But nearly there.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we do feel very blessed in terms of this is our first full year that we've done Sapphires Unscripted. So we just want to say thanks to each and every one of you guys that have popped through and made this a lovely year, a year to enjoy, a year with a beautiful community that likes talking a bit of shit and keeping us accountable when it comes to certain things. But anyway, Brevan, we had a festive derby weekend in the URC. Round 8.
Yeah, we did.
It was most games ended with squeaky bum time.
I thought it would. I mean, it usually does at derby. So
yeah, well, as per usual, let's start with the South African teams. I was at this game, Stormers versus the Lions. I'm not gonna lie, I had to rewatch the game when I got back because when you are 16 beers deep in the excruciating heat, it gets tough to keep your concentration and actually remember what properly went on in this game. Now, One thing I do remember is Sasha's injured again.
Yeah, that was rough. When I saw that happen, I was like, no ways. Like, this is not real. This can't be happening. It is, even as a non-Stormers fan, it is extremely frustrating to watch because obviously that is like, if you look at it as a national thing, that is the guy we want to make our fly off, and to see him just get injured again, it's so frustrating because you just want the guy to build some form, get some game time, and it's just like game after game he comes back. That exact same game he gets injured, and it's like, super frustrating. But
who's more injury prone between him and Henku van Wyk? Because obviously the Lions
they're definitely trying to outdo each other with that. Yeah.
Same WhatsApp group. Listen, we've got two of the most talented youngsters in the world. Because I really rate Henku van Wyk. I rate him as up there. If you look at Sasha, everyone knows he's kind of the future Springbok. It's just like both of them hardly get any game time because of injuries.
Yeah.
And you really don't want their careers to be injury plagued, and that takes away from the greatness that they could possibly achieve.
Yeah, 100%. Like, as Springbok fans, we also just want them to get their fair shot. Obviously, we wish them all the best, and we want them to heal up, and we'll continue to support them no matter what. But it is frustrating to see. But ultimately, they will be back. And I really do hope that there is a point in their career or now after when they come back where just at least they get a run of a decent amounts of games, because that's what they need. They're still young, they're still developing, and to develop you need to play games. So super frustrating, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can change.
Yeah, but anyway, let's quickly chat about the game. And was it the most convincing Stormers performance? Probably not. But how good was it seeing Deon Fourie back there? Good seeing.
It was so good, yeah.
Seeing Deon Fourie literally within the first 2 minutes, I think he got a breakdown penalty, which was like, I haven't seen that in about 12 games. That's I just felt like that was absolutely amazing. Seeing Manie Libbok there with Sasha, because Sasha looked brilliant before he went off injured. I know he's not at 12. But the guy can ball at 12.
The guy's a utility back at the end of the day. So even though we would like him to be the fly-off, obviously, he's still he can still play 12, he can still play 15, and I wouldn't be surprised if he could play 13 if you want him there. So yeah, but ultimately I think there was a lot more flow to the Stormers. You could sense that there was that senior player, like Dion Free there. Obviously
You
bringing in
sense the big
experience,
names,
like
the proper
yeah,
A
and
team feels like
Francois
they're back.
Haber and Ben Jason Dixon, like obviously I felt like they all brought their shift, and I was really happy with what after such a long injury. I was really happy with what Dion Free did. I thought he was just brought so much energy, such a small guy but such a good ball carrier. So yeah, it looked better for you guys in some stages, and obviously, look, you would say it wasn't perfect,
No,
but
of
there's
course
things
not.
to build on. There's things to build on,
I mean,
and luckily, it's a step in the right direction, which is what
this
you
feels
want.
like it feels like a new look team, right? Because we have so many guys that's coming back now. That hasn't trained really. It's really their first game back, right? And we've been full of praise for this Lions team. So for us to go out and play against the Lions team, obviously they have a couple of injuries as well. Let's not beat around the bush. But for us to come out and get a 19-point victory against the Lions, who's been very good, I'll take that all day long, you know.
Yeah.
And Brett actually made a video about it on TikTok, praising Neetling Fushia. Once again, that guy, he's a monster. And you know, someone even that we've been critical of, he's really picked up his game, and I want to give him his praise because obviously we want to call out players. We have to give them their props when they're playing well. I feel Dweba has really picked up his game again in these last couple of weeks. So I mean, I'm very excited to see all of these things coming together. I don't think it'll be that long until we see the likes of Evan Roos again. I would love to see a Ben Loader come back in. I really miss him. To think you have to add Damian Willemse, who's been hanging out with oh my word, Piers Morgan in England
Yes.
for
Yes.
a Christmas party there in the UK. Do you think you have to add those names back? Finally something to smile about if you're wearing the blue. And I don't think
100%.
do, do you think a 19-point difference is a fair scoreline? I thought it was
I
a
think
decent
s-
reflection.
I, I think it was a decent reflection. I thought the Stormers were just better all round. I don't
Yeah.
think the Lions were looking like themselves that they have been this season. But like you said, we did raise this point about the Lions where we said when it comes to the point where injuries are going to start coming in, are they going to be able to cope? And
Yeah.
when you have injuries, and obviously going to Cape Town's never easy. And yeah, I think they're feeling the brunt of that now. So obviously
How
they
good was
still
that
a great
Inwell
side.
try though?
He is sensational. Like I think he really is trying to put his name in the hat for us to say like, listen, I need to be in the squad at least. I mean, obviously, look, like Mapimpi has had a great season, and we have to give him that.
His
I
best
think
season
Edward's
for
been,
me.
yeah, he's been great. And obviously, then you have Kirtley and Colby, which is like, can you replace them? But ultimately, I think he's definitely trying and he's going in the right direction. And yeah, the Lions can be super happy. Like, I mean, I thought that try was sensational. Like,
Yeah.
a little chip and chase. Yeah, it was class.
Riven, there is a massive talking point that we have not yet chatted about. Obviously, it was big news. We've got some links. Sia Kolisi back
Yeah.
to the Stormers. We have not chatted about this. Let's just quickly take a minute. Now, for me, obviously, massive name represents the Springboks. Probably the biggest name in rugby alongside Antoine Dupont, probably in terms of celebrities or stars. Do I want him back at the Stormers? Would I mind him back at the Stormers? No, I wouldn't mind him. Do I want him back at the Stormers? Probably not. Now, my main focus would be that's a ton of money. That needs to be invested into young guys that we can get through to play for us for years and years to come. I don't know how many years does Sia Kolisi still have in the tank. I don't want to sit in the next 2 or 3 years and be like, okay, well, the Lucy's Dion Fourie, Evan Roos, Ben Jason Dixon, and Sia Kolisi, right? I would rather spend that on a JC Pretorius that can fight for years. Now, I've mentioned him a couple of times. Someone that can fight for that jersey for a very long time. And I think bringing in Sia could stunt the growth of for instance, Paul de Villiers, who's I've been very impressed by him. I wasn't even impressed when he came on this weekend, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's other spots that I'd rather focus on. Take that money, spend it on Mchunu, bring in another scrum off. Because obviously Herschel Yankees is leaving us for France. So that's where I
Yeah.
would rather spend that money rather than bringing Kolisi back. Now I know there's a lot of people that will hate it, but that's just kind of my point of view on that situation.
Yeah, it is a weird one because, like, obviously, I mean, it's Kolisi, and like you said, it's a massive one. Obviously, I think he's put in some decent performances for the Sharks this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, switching to that 8 jersey, but then again, he's not going to take Ivan Rosa's shirt when he's fit. He'd be going back to 6, and
You can't drop Ivan Rus at franchise level that's fighting for that box jersey. That
yeah,
would be
I
horrible
agree.
to him.
I agree. I think it's also silly to kind of have Sia take over that 8 jersey because what does that say to someone like Ivan Rus? Like it would literally be a slap in the face. And look, this isn't like to say, but I know exactly why you're basing your argument on why maybe you shouldn't do it. It's purely based on, like you said, it's got nothing to do with Sia Kolisi, the player himself. It's got to do with trying to build something, you know.
Yeah.
And we've seen many teams in the Premier League kind of do this sometimes, where they splash this big money signing on this one player, and it's just not enough. And
No.
it's just. Like, for example, a striker.
There's
But now
clear
striker
other
has
gaps. There's clear
100%.
other gaps.
And like you said, it would cost a big amount. Now, apparently, I don't know if it's true. Apparently, he's willing to take a pay cut, but ultimately, it's still going to be a lot of money. And he's just come back to the Sharks, you know. And it's like, do you question that? In the sense that, like, well, obviously, it's Cape Town. He loves Cape Town, but he's hopping around at the moment, and will he remain settled? And you know what I'm trying to say? He's a very busy guy.
How do you think that went down in the Shark Tank? Knowing they paid so much money to get him out of that deal with Racing, to get him back for one season. How many seasons did he sign again with the Sharks?
I don't know. I would lie if I was acting like I knew, but I just know that they paid they had to buy him out, obviously. That's like paying a transfer fee essentially, and then obviously a salary. So it would have cost them a lot of money, and it definitely wasn't just one season. No, the Sharks would never have just said, "Yeah, we'll sign you for one season." They would have said
Of course
probably
not.
3,
Which makes
or
that they
3
will
years.
charge Stormers even more, right? Like even if he's willing to take a pay cut, the Sharks aren't willing to take a pay cut. That would be
100%.
stupid business.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's just our 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he would be great for us, but I'm just talking about like for the future. I love Ivan Rose in that jersey. I love the fact that Ben Jason Dixon is fighting for that Springbok jersey, and to bring in Sia Kolisi, if it was Sia and Dion Fourie kind of fighting for that 6 jersey with the Stormers, then it would be fine. But I don't want to see the grandpas and then one youngster, right? I don't want to lose a youngster spot that's really pushing to get into that Springbok jersey. Because I mean, Ben Jason Dixon and unless we want to move BJD to lock, but I wouldn't really do that. I wouldn't move someone that's a young talent out of position. Like let the guy just be hungry, fighting for that jersey where he wants to play for the Boks. Anyway, that's it for this game. Did we want to add anything onto that one, or are we moving on to the actual Sharks versus Bulls game?
I'm ready to get into this one.
There you go. Well, firstly, Sharks beat the Bulls. My prediction was that the Shark Tank will be too strong. I think that was your prediction as well, but it wasn't your prediction on SUPERBRU because you didn't do it. Now,
no, I didn't. Sorry, it was a busy weekend, and I literally even said do it, and I didn't, and I'll be better. Sorry.
What's your thoughts on Jake White comparing himself to Pep Guardiola of a team that is struggling and he has to take all the blame for it because they just look lost out there? He said his team.
Obviously, he's probably being a bit like dramatic, but ultimately he's not lying anyway. He's actually saying like, I think it was kind of a shot to the players in a sense as well. A mini shot there to the players to kind of say like, listen, Oaks, what are we actually doing? But at the end of the day, I think like we all say, all these managers and coaches, they reach a point in their career where it's like, is it time? Is it time that they've really passed their peak? And yeah, obviously, look, I think everyone's going to want to address the elephant in the room with regards to the penalty try. And yeah, obviously, I'm not going to use that as an excuse as to why we lost, because I can think of a million other reasons as to why the Bulls lost. Lack of creativity, silly decisions, not taking opportunities, thinking that the only rugby is physical rugby. I can think of many reasons why we lost. But I just, I personally don't think. I think Hooker does knock that ball. I think it's blatantly obvious he knocks that ball into de Klerk. Obviously, if it isn't a knock-on, it's definitely an act of foul play on behalf of de Klerk, and it would be a penalty try. But for the ref to say there's no clear and obvious evidence that he knocks that ball into de Klerk, I think it's just crazy to say that, because you can blatantly see him hit the ball forwards into de Klerk. But anyways, moving on from that, because
but there's a couple of decisions as well, brother.
Oh yeah, there was definitely probably some
that scrum, scrum as well. Come on.
I'm not gonna. We do this all the time, and I think it becomes a regular occurrence on the channel. So we don't need to stick on it. So I just think there's only so much we can talk about it, but it's never going to change, I think, and we have to get used to that because of this inconsistency and whatever. But let's stick to the rugby side of things. I just think the Bulls, if you're not going to take your opportunities, then yeah, you deserve to lose. Like again, I thought instead, like for large parts, I thought we were very good, or in the sense that we were creating opportunities, and then again dropping the ball on the 5-meter line. You have a line out 5 meters out, and you throw it away in the last dying stages. It's just
how much do you blame on Jake White, and how much do you blame on individual errors as well? Because when a guy knocks a ball 5 meters out, you can't blame that really on Jake. Exactly. I said that about the Stormers as well when we went through our horrific patch, right? You could still say we're going through a horrific patch because we've just won one game, right? But a lot of this is like, well, we're playing a CD team, and yet we are putting teams under pressure. But it's individual errors that's costing us. Yes, we do look clueless at times, right? You do see it with the Bulls as well. But when you're 5 meters out and your guy knocks the ball, or it's silly, unforced errors, or you have a penalty try or whatever, right? You can't really blame Jake on that. And then if that didn't happen, but something else happened where it wasn't an individual error, but rather just a try or something, all of a sudden the scoreline is different, and then you reflect differently on the game completely.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, you can't coach BMT, like if a big match temperament, for anyone that wants to know what that is. Like I can't coach someone when you were taught in when you were like 4 or 5 to catch a ball in like mini rugby, as we call it here. I can't teach you to hold on to that ball 5 meters out. I can't teach you to do that. It's I can teach you how to catch a ball, but not when you are a professional rugby player, because that you know already. So I do feel for Jake in the sense that I feel like they are getting in the right positions at a few points in the game, and will simply just throw it away by doing something brainless, by giving the ball away at line-out time, knock on there at the line-outs, or come down with the ball and knock it on, or drop it out 5 meters. It's like you can't coach that. That is just you need to.
The argument is the Sharks also made errors, So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look how many kicks Jordan missed. I mean, they could have been well further up if they had got those. So ultimately, like, I think the Sharks deserve it more because they took what they needed to take more than us, I guess. But yeah, I think the Bulls, I think players need to look at themselves for sure. But at the same time, I still think that Bulls team is very talented. And I feel like Jake is wasting. I'm telling you now, a different coach with a different mindset and a different pattern of play. I just think that team would be sensational, because when Kirtley comes back after his little stint in Japan, you have a backline there that is very, very good. However, I feel like Goosen is reaching his days where it's like, is he the guy to take the Bulls forward?
Why isn't Buta Chamberlain playing?
He was on the bench, if I'm not mistaken, and
Surely you buy
even
the youngster to have him take over, right?
but what's the thing is like, and this is no disrespect. Is Buta really the guy? He's kind of he was third choice at the Sharks behind Jordan and Sia. Is that the guy you really? Obviously, you guys did it with Marnie and it worked. I mean, he definitely got you some success. But like, is Buta the guy to take the Bulls forward at 10? Because 10 is such an important job, and I just don't know if he's the guy.
Would you take Cade?
Cade Voliter? Oh, please send him my way. Like, I would love to, but
He's so good.
I don't see
He's
that
so
happening.
good.
He is so good.
He's only going to play 5 games before he goes again. I mean,
yeah, but yeah, I think it's both parties, Jake and the players, just kind of need to look at themselves and be like, where am I going wrong and how can I improve? That's the only thing, and they have to just own up to it. There's no hiding.
I mean, Britain, we're speaking like this, right? But the Bulls are still sitting in third
Absolutely.
with the game in hand as well.
Yeah,
so
it's fair, but losing games like that where you should win, and
it's just about the standards that you set in terms of the performances and stuff.
I mean, that's 3 weeks in a row. That's 3 losses in a row.
Yeah,
and
getting good, buddy.
And now, obviously, we play again on the 11th of January. I know you guys obviously have a game this weekend, but we only play on the 11th of Jan, and it's against Costries away. So that's a hell of a fixture. So is it going to be for...
They don't lose at home.
Exactly. So is it going to be for... Only time will tell.
Well, I just want to end off on something. The Sharks... Are they finally hitting the URC groove? And we know they've struggled in the URC, so. But for them, we heard Andre Estrazen say it as well. With the crowds coming out, now that they're winning a couple of games, you're getting the crowd up and ready for it because now you've got the big names and you're getting the victories. I know it's a scrappy victory, right? But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's just another victory. And all of a sudden they're sitting in 4th, right? After they still had a shaky start to the season. They still have to add Ibn Itzebe to it. They still got to get to those big games. As soon as they get to quarterfinals, semifinals, you'll see a different breed of a Sharks team. We saw it in the Currie Cup. We've seen it in the Challenge Cup. We've seen it in the Champions Cup. These guys, when it comes to the big games, we've seen it literally this weekend in the Derby. I know it could have gone the Bulls' way as well. They just know how to get it done in the end. So the Sharks team, keep an eye on them because if you're going to give the Shark Tank home games for playoffs, you can write off getting a victory. With those names, with those guys' temperament, it's going to be a tough day at the office for you. But yeah, anyway, that brings to an end the South African derbies. Munster Ulster, that was Friday night. 19 points to 22. Ulster could have done it, man. Ulster could have done it. But these Irish derbies are always like pretty tough to call. I said a scrappy Munster victory. It wasn't a scrappy game. I thought it was a very good game. But once again, they got it over the line.
You said they would scrape it, and ultimately that's what they did, So, yeah, it was a very close game. And obviously, we both said Munster would win that. So, I think they were... we'll take it. But by the skin of their teeth, they took it. So, yeah.
But sometimes you just need one of those, eh? Sometimes you just need one of those.
100%.
Drag yourself over the line.
And have it being a derby, it's also very pleasing. So, good on them.
Benetton at home against Zebre. You said Benetton by however much they want to. I told you Zebre is going to stay in this one. And they won it. Well, Benetton won it by 1 point.
Benetton are just clowns, man. Benetton are clowns.
Like, how do you pull up a performance like that against Bath?
How do you beat Bath and then be like, okay, we'll beat Zebre by 1. I mean, obviously, it's just, I don't know. It's what a weird team. Like, they're just so weird. I don't really understand how
they're such an enjoyable team, but I mean, like,
but it's just a weird team. Like, 1 week they like up here, top 5 teams in the URC, top 6. That's where their playing level is. then they get to like bottom half level of
You know what
playing.
it
And I'm
is?
just like,
You get some of these teams, right? They'll never put away a bad team, but they'll never get whacked. So depending how good the team is, they'll raise the game for that. But if a team's bad, they'll drop their level to that. Like South Africa, like the Springboks did that for a long time. And I was like, why aren't we burying teams? Like, what is
yeah,
going on? We've even seen it this year, right? Like, just dropping below average performances. Like, I know we still won the games, but sometimes I was like, this Welsh team has to go for 80 points. Like, we have to absolutely obliterate them. Or
yeah,
even the Wallabies, that first game, and I was like, okay, it's 24-0 or something in the first half. And then why couldn't we just make it 60? You know, why not?
yeah,
So Benetton, same WhatsApp group as those type of performing teams.
yeah.
I feel so heartbroken by this one. Ospreys versus Scarlets, because I said a sneaky Scarlets victory by 5 or 6 points. And they were in the lead by like 4 or 5 points. And then Ospreys literally scores in the 81st minute to win the game by 1 point.
Yeah, Derby just again, just living up to hype. And I did say Ospreys would win, and I thought they would win a bit more comfortably, just because obviously Ospreys are known as the better Welsh team at the moment.
Yeah, usually.
And Scarlets definitely, they probably should have had it. They had a good, healthy first half lead. Yeah, it was.
And then knocked the ball, cross kick, open try line, knocks it out.
Yeah.
Right? Probably not the easiest, but that secures the game. That secures the victory. Knocks it.
Yeah.
They go to the other end, Ospreys. They score there.
It's
That's
that's
tough.
that's the love of the game, man. That's why.
How would you
play
feel
it.
if that was your beautiful Bulls? Cross kick to secure the game, you knock it, and they go and you go
I
the
don't
other
know
end
what
and
I would have
score
done.
and win it by 1 point.
Yeah. But that's rugby. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Stormers nearly did it against the Sharks, this close. That's why we
Let's
do not
not
it.
bring
That's
that
why
up
we
again,
watch it.
Brennan. Let's
No, but
not bring that up
ultimately,
again.
I think it's better. It's a better view on you than it is on the Sharks for you guys to have done that, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion. But anyways, yeah, it was a great game at the end of the day. Good Welsh derby, and something that they could build on, both teams.
Yeah. Leinster versus Connacht. Now they pulled out an all-time stinker. Right, this was not a great game. I've literally not seen anyone say this was a good game, but speaks volumes when a game's concluded. Obviously, Leinster they played a very rotated team, so you have to take it with a little grain of salt. But everyone's talking about the ref once again, and you can talk about the ref in the Bulls game as well. You can talk about the ref in this one. Now, the one that everyone's referring to, I thought that was wasn't that bad on. I think it was on Bundiaki, but once again, it just boils down to the inconsistency. Because Mac Hansen, this is what everyone's talking about. Mac Hansen's press conference, and I don't know how much about it you've listened, how much you've listened to it. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teams that will always feel there's a lot of calls going against them. But the issue is that a lot of teams feel like this. Once again, the inconsistency when you have the same thing not being looked at, but the other guy gets sent off, and that's the issue when you leave things up for interpretation. But then on the other hand, we're like, game's soft. Why is anything that touches a head? Why does everything need to be penalized? You know, what's your whole thoughts on just not what was said, but Mac Hansen calling out the inconsistency of it?
I think the only look, and I'm not going to take stances here on like, oh, Leinster this kind of.
He's definitely getting fined, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, enjoy your Christmas bonus going away, but not that they care. Anyways, I think what the point I'm trying to make is, like, I'm not here to pick sides of anyone on any situation, whether it be Bulls, whatever. I really, at this point, I think it is great that players are calling it out. Now, yes, some will need to take fines for it, but I think for the game as a whole and for the game that we love, we need something to kind of bring back some kind of consistency to this game. And the reason I say this is, I understand that every human being is different and we see things differently. I get that. Like I completely understand we're all humans and we make mistakes and we see things differently. But when it's a simple call like following like understanding the laws and yes, it's soft, but at the end of the day, like what Geordie does there is deemed yellow cardable. Like it
Yep.
is deemed yellow cardable, and for the Bulls, like that knock on, like it wasn't a clear and it was clear and obvious in my personal opinion. You do see the ball leave his hand, like you can't say on the screen like there's no clear and obvious evidence when it's just there of the ball like coming off his hand. But anyways, it's those
Too
kind of
much
things where
technicalities instead of just saying,
yes,
listen,
and
that's what
that's
the
what I
fuck
think.
just happened. Let's call it on that.
Yeah, and I think players need to. No, the thing is, I don't even think they care the World Rugby or whatever. I just think that the only way it will change is if there's a sound made about it, and the only people that World Rugby really cares about is their players, if you want to say
Yeah.
that. So they need to be the ones that talk. If the fans say anything in any kind of sport, they will not listen just because
Yeah.
they're getting the attention anyway. But when your players are saying these kind of things, yes, the first couple will get fined, but I hope that just because a lot do it, they kind of catch a wake up and say, we need to find a way where, but like you've always said it, right? We want to see referees be held accountable. Like
Yeah.
the players get held accountable, like coaches get held accountable.
Privan, there's a fine line, right? Like, I'm all for refs being held accountable. Now, I saw someone in the comment section saying that the ref scorecards and stuff has to be released online, and I'm not for that, right? Because I'm not for refs getting abused and almost getting scared out of their jobs. You know, rugby fans, you'd say like passionate and rugged or just like absolutely crazy people. And you don't want their performances being out in the open in terms of what World Rugby deemed their performance, right? So that's not what I mean by accountability. But it would, in my opinion, it should be fine to say, listen, we feel we got shafted by that call, or having a press conference with the ref where you asked him about that call. What was the thought process around that? I would love to hear what the ref said, for instance, with that knock on, where someone can say, listen, look at that. That's clearly come off his hand, right? Or with
That's the
another
thing.
journalist asking clearly, tucked, that's tucked. How can you send this up but not that? Where they can explain the situation, even though whether you agree with it or not afterwards, that's a different discussion, right? But at least
At
they
least
can
he's
explain their.
given At least he's given his kind of opinion on as to why he thought that way. Like
Yeah,
right now, all we're getting is this guy going, "There's no clear and obvious evidence," and we like, "How? What? How? What? Whatever," and we like freaking out. But now, if like you said, I completely agree. There's no space to abuse referees. Like obviously, you don't want someone fearing for their job. Being a referee is hard, and you don't want someone fearing for their job because like they feel like they literally are being watched like a hawk. But ultimately, I think a press conference is great for like, for example, so why did you see that as not a knock on? And he could maybe say, I personally felt maybe it was being lost sideways or it was
yeah.
not, and just giving his kind of a view on it. Now, whilst me, nothing he would say would change my mind. At least I've said, okay, he's made that call based on that's what he saw. And at the end of the day, like I said, the Bulls had many other things to blame themselves for losing that game, not just the
It gives
referee.
them the
So
opportunity also to kind of defend themselves rather than we sitting here and saying that he was shit. He was so shit. This. It gives him the opportunity to explain it, and I feel that we as fans would be so much more receptive to refs, even if they say, "Listen, now that I've seen it again, I do believe that was a bad call, my bad, or whatever." Right? You know, it doesn't change the game, right? But all of a sudden, fans feel more engaged with the ref. They feel more like, okay, we understand that. Now, I'm not saying everyone will be like that. Others will obviously be like, well, then you shouldn't be a ref if you're going to make mistakes. But you're
but
always going
that,
to have them.
yeah, yeah.
Always.
People must realize like the world is full of, as you'd like to call them, online trolls, where they
Yeah.
will always have something negative to say. There's nothing we can do to change it, but what we can do is the people that are passionate about the game and love the game, it's for those people that kind of like get it. Because whether they have a press conference or not, you're always going to get that person online that says, "Oh, this ref is this ref is that," And ultimately, whilst it's not right, it's not going to change because
Yeah.
you can't change the behavior of other people. But what we can do is the ones that do understand, they can engage with the referees and get a better understanding. Because right now, how do you explain to like for example a new rugby viewer who's like, you've just told him you're not allowed to go in a ruck with your shoulder tucked like this, like it's not allowed, and then Geordie Barron goes and does that, and nothing gets done, and then he goes, but I thought you said that. So it leads to that confusion, and that's where things need to change. So yeah, I think I'm 100% on the same page as you with regards to that. I think there definitely needs to be some kind of thing.
The Ed Collegians saw something of everything because, I mean, Geordie went in, nothing. Lens, what was Connacht player got sent off, and then the one on Marnie was dreadful. He got a red, So
and that was a blatant red. Like it was a great call. They didn't make any mistakes with the guy, and I thought that was a great decision making because that was just like
that was just silliness. That was ridiculous.
Wild. Yeah, but yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from the red chatter. Final one. I got it spot on. Called for the 19-point victory. Glasgow versus Edinburgh. Just kind of wiping the floor with them as expected. We made a mistake. This was not played at Glasgow because it's a derby. I forgot the stadium name where they actually played. Someone told us in the comment section. But yeah, this Glasgow team. I mean, we say it every week. They literally sitting in second. They're just so good. They are so good. And Edinburgh is no pushover at the moment. Like they've got the big names. They have started to look like they're finding their feet again. And yet Glasgow just pushing them out of the way and saying, listen, you're playing second fiddle to us in the Scottish run.
Yeah. It's if on paper, right, you look at both teams, and personally on paper I would be like, I fancy Edinburgh to be the better side. But this Glasgow team is just like doing their job. Everyone's just working well together. Such a good, well-oiled team. And yeah, I mean, what I like about them is they've won that URC trophy, and they've come back to win it again. It's not like okay, that was a fluke win. We got a few couple of away wins by luck. They've shown that it wasn't luck, and they are one of the better teams, or one of the best, top two. It's literally between Leinster and Glasgow as to who's the best team in the URC at the moment. And
that's why they've got the healthy lead as well.
100%. Like those two teams are just on a level of their own at the moment, and you've got to give them credit. And they have good players there as well, which is good, and they have hungry players. So it is a very well-run club at the moment, and I think the Scots deserve it. I mean, I think they're a fantastic nation, and I'm glad they have a team that competes at the high level like that. So, yeah, great win. And how much did they win by?
19.
As you said, yeah, great call. I don't know if I thought if I said it would be closer, but yeah, I mean, to win by 19 points against Edinburgh is in a derby.
I think you were up there as well, to be fair. I think you were like around about in the 16 to 18, right?
Okay, fair. But I think still, ultimately, it's a great win,
Yeah. Anyway, that wraps it up. Obviously, the Dragons and Cardiff has not played yet. They're playing Boxing Day, so who cares about that? Everyone, thank you very much for 2024. You guys have been amazing. Obviously, there will be no videos this week for round 9. We'll probably just recap what has happened when we start again next year. But it's been a pleasure chatting to each and every one of you guys. Please do hit that subscribe button so you guys are notified for when we post again next year. We wish all of you guys a Merry Christmas. We wish you guys a beautiful New Year into 25. Take it by the scruff of the neck. Fucking smash it. We love all of you guys, and we adore you guys. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.